What's going to happen to Medicare under President Donald Trump? That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. It should be good, so please stay tuned. My name is Jamie from meetjamie.com. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I help people all over the country understand how the Medicare program works, as well as connect them with the coverage that fits their needs. Best of all, my services are free. If you enjoy videos about Medicare, please consider subscribing to my channel. So I don't usually talk much about politics here on my channel. I focus a lot on Medicare, but obviously Medicare is touched by politics, and we just came out of a very intense election cycle, and there are some things that are beginning to fall into place that'll give us a little bit of insight over the next 4 years when it comes to Medicare, specifically under President Trump, as well as the soon-to-be newly appointed head of CMS, which is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Dr. Oz. And so we're going to talk about that in today's video. You may not agree with everything that I think, so please feel free to leave a comment below and share your thoughts with me. Let me just start by saying that generally speaking, during an election cycle, there is a lot of blustering and what I would call fear-mongering around Medicare. A lot of people point fingers. One side points at the other and says they're going to cut your Medicare benefits, and it's many times a scare tactic to get you to vote for one side or the other. Generally speaking, I think that Medicare itself is going to do just fine over the next several years. I think that politicians on both sides of the aisle understand how large a percentage of the population people on Medicare are and who make up that voting bloc. And I think their ultimate goal is to make sure that Medicare beneficiaries feel like their benefits are being protected. That being said, people in office do have an impact on Medicare benefits. We're seeing that right now going into 2025 with the Inflation Reduction Act. There's been a lot of disruption. Some have argued it's the largest disruption since Medicare started. And so there are some considerations that we need to make when it comes to Medicare. These are just some thoughts that I have doing some research on those of you who are subscribers here of my channel. I appreciate your support. I appreciate those who say that you watch me and learn from what little bit I share here in the grand scheme of things about Medicare. So let's jump into some notes that I have here to help kind of explain this. If you have thoughts, feel free to leave them in the comments below. So let's talk first of all about Dr. Oz's appointment as the head of CMS and how that could lead to significant changes in Medicare policy, particularly through his support for expanding Medicare Advantage, a privatized alternative to traditional Medicare. So we do have, a history of knowing what his position has been on Medicare, and that might potentially give us a glimpse into what the future might look like under his leadership. So historically, Dr. Oz has been a strong advocate for Medicare Advantage, which is managed by private insurance and offers additional benefits compared to traditional Medicare. During his 2022 Senate campaign, he proposed a Medicare Advantage for All plan, aiming to make this option more widely available. This approach aligns with President-elect Donald Trump's healthcare strategy and could suggest a potential shift towards increased privatization within Medicare. So just by way of reminder, hopefully you've seen some of my other videos about the two paths to Medicare. You can either choose original Medicare, and many people add a supplement, or you can choose Medicare Advantage, which again is a private health insurance plan that manages all of your Medicare benefits. That's generally speaking the two paths that you have to receiving your benefits. So based on some of the research I've done, it looks like Dr. Oz, is leaning towards expansion of the privatization of Medicare towards Medicare Advantage. So what are some of the implications that could come from this? Again, this is just my limited opinion on research I've done, but if Dr. Oz implements policies favoring Medicare Advantage, several implications could arise. One would be the increased role of private insurers. A shift towards Medicare Advantage would enhance the involvement of private insurance companies in Medicare, potentially affecting coverage options and costs for beneficiaries. So one of the things that I'll say is that with the big change that we're seeing happening right now in the Medicare world, you could see a change towards the other direction. That's one of the things that can happen. And so if you are wondering, hey, how is this going to affect my coverage? I think that if you're on a Medicare Advantage, there could be some positives that come from this. One of the other implications could be changes in coverage and costs. So while Medicare Advantage plans often provide additional benefits, they may also have different coverage rules and out-of-pocket costs compared to traditional Medicare, impacting beneficiaries' access to services. So if there is a lean, if you will, towards privatization, towards Medicare Advantage, there could be negotiations that haven't happened recently with these health insurance companies to hopefully enrich the benefits of these plans for Medicare beneficiaries. And then next, we do know that historically Dr. Oz is the type of person who wants to focus on disease prevention. He's emphasized disease prevention and wellness initiative. His leadership might introduce programs aimed at reducing healthcare costs through preventative measures, which could influence Medicare's coverage of preventative services. So a lot of people don't know this, but under original Medicare, you don't get an annual physical. A lot of times with Medicare Advantage, you will see more preventative opportunities. And the goal of that really is to ensure that people are staying healthy so they don't need some of those larger, bigger services that can come up along the way. So when people are healthy, everybody wins, right? The individual wins, the insurance company wins, the Medicare program wins. And so it could be that you'll see leadership that way from Dr. Oz towards disease prevention. All right, so let's talk about some criticism that is probably going to surface, right? Because if you have this history of knowing Dr. Oz and what he has said previously about Medicare, there have been some criticisms that have come up already. So critics express concerns about the potential for increased privatization. This would be privatization of Medicare under Dr. Oz's leadership, fearing it could lead to reduced benefits or higher costs for some beneficiaries. Additionally, his past promotion of unproven medical treatments has raised questions about his suitability for overseeing a major federal healthcare agency. So anytime you get a person that's put in a position like this, people are inevitably going to find some sort of controversy, right? That's the nature of politics. And so people are going to go back and they're going to look at his history. They're going to look at things that he said, and they're going to look at that as an opportunity to bring criticism to him. But at the end of the day, we really don't know how this is all going to pan out. It's kind of we have to have this wait and see approach, right? And so even though there's going to be critics of his leadership, which would be the case in any person put in this position, ultimately we're gonna have to just take a wait and see approach, which leads me to my summary. So in summary, I think that Dr. Oz's tenure as CMS administrator is likely to focus on expanding Medicare Advantage and emphasizing preventative health care, which could lead to significant changes in Medicare structure and delivery. But again, we will have to take a wait and see approach on this. So if you're interested in learning more about kind of both sides of this when it comes to thoughts on President Trump and Dr. Oz's leadership over Medicare, I'm going to put some links in the description of this video that will provide you the opportunity to do some of your own research. And of course, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so, so that you can stay up to date on all of the breaking news around Medicare over the next 4 years. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you subscribing, hitting that like button, sharing this video with a friend, and leaving me your thoughts in the comments. Until the next one, have a great day.